going. We're just going to say names right now.
Hi, my name is ChiChi.
I'm Tonya.
Ashley.
Danny.
Darlene.
I'm Barb.
Jeana.
All right, awesome. All right, so we're going to start with a little bit of an icebreaker. In your bags, you will find, hold on, right? You will find a notepad. All right, so what I want you all to do is take a few minutes and write down two characteristics about yourself that you feel embody you. That you feel, for example, shines through who you are. What you perceive, what you feel on a day-to-day, maybe you're energetic or you're, for example, I would say for myself, what's a good question? I would say that I'm bubbly. So that'd be one. But for you all, just write two, and then I want you to put the reasons on why you chose those two. So before we talk about what I just asked for, we're going to pray. So charge it to my head, not my heart. I forgot to start that off. But let's start with and we're going to pray. Lord, we thank you for today. We thank you for just allowing us to have breath of life, Lord. Thank you that these women are here in front of me right now, that you thought it not robbery for them to take their time to come and help this ministry destined to rise, to continue to rise to the occasion of the many things that take place in our world today. I thank you for the assistants. I thank you for the producer, the videographer. Lord, I thank you for every present person here, along with those who are not able to come and or those that are supporting this ministry in prayer just for what's going on for today. So Lord, I ask that you allow your Holy Spirit to just reign and be in the presence in each and every one of us. Allow us to feel comfortable, allow us to be able to be free to speak our minds so that we can touch at least one soul, Lord. I ask this in your precious name, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So I asked you guys to do this because one of the things that had me bring you all here today was because Women's Month is next month for March. And a lot of times, I will say for myself, I won't speak for others, a lot of times I have found within my life experience or through others that there is a struggle with women coming together. There is an issue of cattiness, there's an issue with just being a supporter, being a friend. And so I said, why not? Let's have a discussion, let's talk about this. Because in order for us to affect change, we need to talk about how we're going to change things. And if we can just start right here in this conversation today, and thankfully have the use of social media, if we touch one person, we're going to touch many. So I wanted to start off with this icebreaker because we're talking about ourselves. And so we all have room for growth. We all have the great things about ourselves, the things that we can shine upon somebody else, things that we can glean upon from someone else. And so I wanted to discuss what you guys wrote. And throughout this conversation, this is a judgment-free. I'm labeling this a judgment-free zone. So at any time, if you feel that something's holding you back from being able to express yourself, please don't allow that to occur. We're not going to let that happen. We're going to claim greatness. We're going to claim everybody's going to be fun, safe, and we're just going to have a good time and conversate with one another. So who would like to start first as far as describing the two they picked? I'll pick.
I'll start, if it's okay.
Yes.
I think that I am a people person. And I say that because I don't care where I go. I talk. I talk at Boscov's. I talk everywhere because I like that. I like interacting with people. And I find that I have never had anybody just look at me and walk away. Mm-hmm. If you put just your personality out there, then you receive something. And I think that's what I am best at, being a people person.
Amen. Okay. Well, you can share one or you can share both.
The next thing, this is the Darlene Mims. I didn't know you wanted to share both. You said both. Then I'll go on. Okay. I think in addition to being a people person, I am also a listener. I hear sometimes what you're saying, and sometimes I think I hear what you're not saying. And I think these are my best qualities, and that's it for me.
So, part of what Miss Darlene said, for me, I put bravery, that I'm brave. I was always shy. And it still does take a lot for me to put myself out there, for me to open up. And I actually do talk to a lot of people. My sister says that I'm a people person. She says, you talk to everybody. And I had to explain to her, you don't understand everything it takes for me to actually do that. When I was younger, like I kept to myself. And growing up, one of the things, I don't know who said it to me, but it was, a closed mouth does not get fed. And for me, I am brave all the time. And I'm also stubborn. That's the other one I put there.
I like that.
Now,
let's talk about that.
this can be a good thing and this can be a bad thing.
Let's talk
But-
about that. But you use it as a strength.
But-
I like that.
It's, for me, I love hard. And if I care, then I'm stubborn with that. I'm stubborn. I fight for justice. I fight, if I see an injustice, I'm going hard to try to correct it.
Gotcha.
And even being a shy person in my younger life, and I feel like I still am a little shy, but not as shy as I was. But like I said, I work on that daily. But for me to step out, I will step out and defend someone else. And a lot of times it was even before I defended myself. So for me, that's part of the stubbornness in me. Like, no, I'm not going to let this happen. It's not on my watch.
Right.
Now, I was a little background. I was a sergeant in a correctional facility. I'm retired now. But for me to do that job, that stubbornness is what got me through. You understand what I'm saying? So those are the two things that I chose.
Thank you.
I think I'm insightful. I feel like, I do think I give good advice. I tend to see both sides. I always say I'm a real moderate. Like, I'm a very middle of the road thinker in like all aspects of my life, and I always try to see both sides. And I know one of the things I often tell my daughter, because girls, talk cattiness. I have a teenage daughter. And there's a lot of that goes on. Much more than a son. I have a teenage daughter and I have a 19-year-old son, and big difference in the way. And I find myself telling my daughter, you have to understand there's the message that was given and there's the message that was received. And the message received might, be different than what the person was given intended, So I try to, I feel like I try to bring that to a lot of aspects of my life, is to see both avenues. Even then, and sometimes that gets me in trouble because people don't like that. Like when you talk about women, I've had experiences in my life where women don't want, some women don't want you to be nice. They want to be mean, and they want you to be mean right with them, and they don't like that if you're nice. So then they come after you, and you're just like, I was just being nice. But so I think I give good advice, and I think some of that's because I'm very aware of my mistakes that I've made in my life, and I try to share that. And like, I know my boss once described me as very self-aware, like almost to the point of putting myself maybe under the bus a little too much. But I know my mistakes. I know what they are. I did it, and I saw that I didn't turn that in on time or whatever it might be. So I'm aware of all my mistakes. And I know my son once said to me recently, he had a challenge at college where he was going to do a fraternity and then change his mind. And he just felt bad about that. And And he said that he had a friend who gave him some advice, and he said, yeah, she's like, she gives good advice like you. And I was like, oh, that made me feel good. So, so I think that and with that, my second thing was I couldn't think of a word to describe it, but I feel like I always have a lot of good ideas, but my follow through really is not great. I have all these ideas, but I don't necessarily do them. And that's what I said to you. I said, I admire you, Carly, for doing this. I said, this is one of those things that I might have an idea, but I won't really make it happen. Like you brought it to fruition. I think that's awesome. Because that's an area that I really could use some help in. That's an area that I could use some help in. And that's part of why I agreed, I think, to do this today, because I said, no, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to do it.
So I said, I'm a defender. That's my personality. If you're the underdog, I don't even know what the circumstance is. I usually gravitate to you to see where you are, to see what you need. Even with sports, it's say, like with the Super Bowl, you have two teams. Who's the underdog? I'm rooting for the underdog just because I want someone to be successful. I want to see where I can meet them and help them wherever, where they want to go. That's part of who I am. And then my second one is I'm an introvert. Some people will see me as being standoffish, but I'm really kind of shy. But people that know me would not understand that, because when I'm around people, I can be very outgoing. But honestly, I'm introverted. I like to sit down. I like to see what's going around me. I like to learn people. I like to see, where they're coming from. And so I kind of sit back and just watch everything. But in that, if you give me something to do, I can envision how to get it done. I process things well, and then I can go get it done for you. So I'm more, I sit back. But like you asked me to come here, that was a big move for me, because I don't do this.
Me too.
I could stay in my house, watch movies all day long, and be very comfortable, and only go out to the market when I have to, or if I have to shovel snow. So I appreciate you, because I will come out. So I'm like, Lord, whatever I need to do, you're gonna put it in front of me. So Carly, send an email. I'm like, okay, I'm going. But those are my two. Mm-hmm.
I can relate.
Thank you.
Me too.
Okay.
I'll go. I had a bunch actually. But I think the two that I think most describe me currently right now in my life. The first, I would have to say that I'm resilient. I'm not a quitter. And I've gone through a lot, dealt with a lot, and haven't really asked for a lot of all the bad things that come, but they come. So you usually have two choices. You could either roll with the punches or wallow in self-pity. And I find myself choosing the more positive of the two and rolling with the punches. I really don't give myself any other choice. Because at the end of the day, I have things to do. So it's, and as women can be, sometimes we like to sit in situations and sulk in situations. Especially when we don't have any control over our lives, right? And the things that come our way. But I find that those bad situations never last for too long. So, which gives me even more of an incentive to keep going. So that I will say is the first one. The second one is actually a nickname that a couple of my friends gave me like years and years and years ago, which was a baby Britannica. I'm a nerd. I'm definitely a nerd. I'm a bookworm. Knowledge is power. I love to read, and I feel most empowered, the more educated I am. And the more I educate myself. I'm more inclined to go research things. Like if there's ever a Jeopardy game, I know all the random facts that no one's ever gonna need to know ever in their life. But if you need an answer to win you $1 million, I got you. But
Call a friend.
call a friend. If there's a phone a friend option, I'm the friend you want to call. But I enjoy learning new things, learning about people, learning about cultures, just learning in general, because we're always learning, and it's the best way for us to get better, for us to evolve. So I feel like as long as I'm reading something, as long as I'm dived into something that could better me as a whole, I feel productive. So yeah, those are my two.
So resilience and
I guess, well, I would
I was
say
about to
being
say.
a baby Britannica, but I guess being a bookworm. Yes.
I see you're not trying to give me eye contact.
And then,
You can be last.
I'll go. All right. Okay, one of mine, I would say, because I had a couple, but I'll say a giver.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, especially with my friends and my family, I love giving. I love to, like, I will put their needs, anything before mine. I've always been like that with, like, friends and family. So I will say that. And people always tell me, you're such a giver. You're always helping. You're so supportive. So that's one. Another one will be introvert and overthinker. Like, I know even coming here, because Carly knows I am very shy. I like to stay to myself. And I told her, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to step out of my comfort zone, because this is way out of my comfort zone. I like to be by myself. I don't like to be around people, really. So, yeah, so I'm like, Carly, I'm just going to step in faith. I'm going to do it afraid. I'd rather do it afraid than not do it at all.
Amen.
So, yeah. So that's what I was
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, those are my two.
I picked dedication and resilience. And the dedication, I think, comes from because I'm really passionate about my work, and it's dedicated to pro-social outcomes. And so how I apply myself in every day and every moment. My post-it notes have post-it notes. You know, my hobbies fuel my passion, my art, which fuels my politics, which fuels my, my work. So there's that. And then I put resilience because, through struggles to the stars, like, and they'll hold me back. Yeah, y'all, and nothing can hold me back. I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna get it, and so that pioneering spirit is to me real delicately entwined with hopefulness, and that is that dedication to that pro-social outcome is trying to make my time matter, right? So it's all about these people that I work with and the education and development and, hoping for change, changing culture, that, transformative culture. And so that's what I'm into. That's what I think.
Good. So when we think about the words that we just described ourselves, introverted, resilient, insightful, stubborn, when we think about these words and just the way that you all have described them, proactively, positive, uplifting, I want to transition from those words. I want you to keep those words in mind, those characteristics in mind, and think about a time where you felt either you've experienced someone empowering you, someone supporting you, someone uplifting you, or vice versa, you were the one doing it. I want to talk about that. Can anybody talk about the either or the latter? when you think about that?
It just happened to me last night. I went out, I don't go out very much because my work is crazy, and then when I'm home, I gotta do the laundry and eat something, yeah, I work heavy, and I love my job. So like 5 o'clock rolls around too fast. Now, who does that happen to? So that's a blessing. I ain't rushing nowhere. I'm like rushing to get there, getting there an hour early. But last night I went out with a friend, and she's a girlfriend, right? And we're not uber close. We don't talk all the time, but she does some funny things. Like she'll come across like something on sale, and she'll just pick it up. And so she had a whole basket of stuff for me. It's not my birthday, it's not a holiday, but she got this whole thing together. And then and I said to her, the last thing I said to her this morning was, thank you for making me feel so special last night. Because that's what she did. She was and it was just real simple little stuff. We went and saw a band, and it was fun, and we talked and we chatted, and we tried to steal seats all over the place to get closer to the band, and but ultimately what she was there to tell me, and her message was consistent the whole time. Like the week prior, she had dropped off. I didn't even see her. I hadn't seen her for weeks, but she had dropped off a bag of women's empowerment, dress clothes, business suit, like jackets and some stuff. And I was like, yeah, all right. So she had a nice little card in there, just saying, encourage him, pass it on to the next woman, is what it said. And I have a lot of respect for a woman who is woman friendly, is what I call it. And it's real important, to have a high degree of authenticity, genuineness, and engagement. And if you're looking for pro-social outcomes, you will get them.
Yeah. I like that. When you're looking for pro-social outcomes, you will get them. Anybody else want to contribute to that? To think about a time where, and just like Danny was saying, it was something small and meaningful. It was special. She took the time to do something out of her busy schedule to then give.
Yeah, and she was like tithing to it, because it was like a conglomerate of things, just little things that were remind. She gave me these shoes. Look at these shoes.
I saw that.
Y'all see that? I was like, no, she didn't. I told her what I was doing. She wanted to come today, actually. She was like, she did ask. I was like, I gave her the address. But it's probably early for her. She runs herself at a later day. But just a bud. She was just a friendly, genuine person. And man, if you could be authentic and genuine and be in the present moment where you're at, most powerful to impact and affect change.
Can I just say, I think that is awesome, and it's wonderful to have people in your life that do unexpected things to help encourage you. I try to be positive in everything that I do, and one of the things, so I had to retire from my job. Before I retired, they had put me at the female jail. Now, I didn't want to work there. I didn't want to work there because the female inmates were there, and as we know, as we've said, women are catty. But also, there were mainly female officers there. But what I decided, when they stuck me out there, I decided that I was going to vote change. And one of the things that I did as a supervisor, I didn't believe in favoritism. Now, I'm not saying I didn't have my favorites. However, we have a job to do.
Right.
And everybody should know every position here. Because if this one's not here, we're going to need somebody to fill that position. So, of course, it's unfortunate that those that worked under me were those catty type of people. And one of the things that I tried to do is, one, remain positive. Two, I rotated everybody. So nobody could say, oh, you always put this person here, you always put that person there.
Mm-hmm.
My thing was, the men are at the other jail laughing at us because y'all can't get it together. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. I put you here because I know you can learn this. And, you know, I would have to say, I don't know how to do this, but we're going to teach you. So for me, in my job, it was about teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just about teaching the position, it was about teaching them how to work together.
Mm-hmm.
And teaching them, we are all the same. Even with the inmates, I would tell them, I'm one bad decision away from being where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody here is better than the other person.
Right.
But my job, it is my job to make sure that you follow the rules of this jail.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think I'm better than you.
Right.
And I think that's part of, first it's societal,
Mm-hmm.
but that's part of the problem.
Right.
Where, you know, everybody doesn't come from the same walk of life.
That's right.
And we are judgy.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we don't realize we're being judgy. And that's one of the things that I try to be aware of,
Mm-hmm.
so that I'm not judging someone. But even in that space, I had an officer come. First of all, when I left, they kept calling me like, when are you coming back?
Mm-hmm.
So where I thought everybody I wasn't the favorite, they didn't like me, they did, because I was fair. And I did my job. It was like, it's not about me liking you.
Right.
We all have a job. Even my best friend in the jail, like, she didn't want to work in a certain position. She had just come back, she had been out sick or whatever. And I was like, no, you're gonna go up there and you're gonna do the job, they're gonna show you, you go upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I went later to go and check on her myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got up there, she was like, huh, this is the best kept secret. I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you, she said, it's a booth. You have to work the booth where you control the doors. And she didn't want to go up there. And I was just like, yo, just go. I promise you, you're going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you close your mind and you shut the door and you being the bad stubborn, and you're not open to receive what someone is trying to give you, you'll miss out on a blessing.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
You will miss out on a blessing. And for me, I don't want to miss out on a blessing. And I'm advocating for you. I don't want you to miss out.
So you can get
Yes.
it. So we can get it together.
So we can get it together. Let's have an easy day together.
Hello.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So for me in my job, that was always the thing for me, to encourage the other women and try to squash out that caddy. And you know, I mean, I didn't. Some of it worked for, some of it didn't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I had who was I talking to? I can't remember. But you know how in our younger years, now I wasn't this person. However, I had friends who believed that if I'm mad at Carly, you need to be mad at Carly. We are not talking to Carly. You don't like her. Nobody likes her.
Exactly.
But
That's the problem. That's
listen,
Oh my
when
God.
I told you I dealt with that at work,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a supervisor and I had officers like deciding they were going to be insubordinate. So you're going to jeopardize your job. Because if I write you up, because I can write, if I write you up, it's going to stick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to talk to you and get you to understand, like, first of all, why do you have a problem with me? Because I never did anything to you. We don't even really talk.
Right.
Especially not outside of his job. What did I do to you? Nothing. But because this one over here, for whatever reason, has a problem, now you are doing things that's going to jeopardize your job.
Right.
And even in those moments, I'm still trying to empower them and encourage them and get them to learn more and you know, position themselves better so that they have better opportunities within the job.
So let's say, for instance, you met somebody that wasn't even, say, for instance, in your previous workplace. and they were struggling with the notion of not being that negative follower, that catty arm-in-arm person. What would you say to them if they said, I just don't know how to change? I don't know how to be a better me because I'm struggling with me within myself.
You know what I did? I prayed. When I took
Prayer always
prayer,
Yes, it does.
it is the crux of it all. I can't get through the day without praying and talking to God, because I can't. When I was going through those things, it was just like, Lord, first of all, I'm from North Jersey. I'm from North, by the way, originally. And nobody really believed me. They were just like, oh, whatever, because I don't carry myself hood, so to speak. However, if you make me angry, the hood comes out. So
Well,
I had to, like, gather myself and keep myself where, like I said, I had to pray. And it's just me, Lord, I need my job. Or Lord, I don't know why they're behaving this way, but I need you to show me how to deal with this, because I'm about to snap. And if I snap, it's gonna be bad. I know it's gonna be bad. And I don't like hurting people. You know what I'm saying? But they say hurt people hurt people.
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. It's true.
I don't ever want to be that person. I don't ever want to be the cause of someone's pain.
Right.
I monitor my words. I monitor what I do physically. Even, like we said, it's by thought, word, and deed. So for me, in trying to help someone else, I always tell them, you need to talk to the Lord, because if what I'm saying to you is not sinking in, there's a blockage there.
Right.
So I'm not going to tell you nothing wrong. I'm only trying to help.
Right.
And sometimes people don't see it as help. Some people see it as you thinking that you're above them, and this is the problem. And it's really hard. I used to drive Uber, and that was another way that I started to kind of be. First of all, that's the hardest thing I've ever done. Not even working in the gym. But letting strangers get in my car and driving them to God knows where.
Right.
I drove to doggone West Point, the military. Yes.
The school?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So, but during that time, I had a lot of conversations, and I found that one of the things I would tell my passengers, especially like I look at people and like I people watch, I mean, I'm also a law enforcement officer, so I'm watching to make sure that I'm gonna get home to my baby. But when someone was having a bad day, I would always try to, I would talk to them and try to pull from them what was good about it, what was good about the day. I understand that this happened. Everything happens for a reason. You have to find the silver lining.
Yeah.
And try to change that negative self-talk,
Yes.
which seeps in and can sometimes,
You have to find the silver lining. When I tell you, I be trying to find the silver lining in everything with myself. And people want to know, well, why are you doing? Because I'm a woman. Why are you doing this? Drive it. Like, this is dangerous. Now, mind you, I kept a mace can and a pair of handcuffs in my pocket. Because God helps those who help themselves.
Oh, come on.
We gonna use a little common sense. I know that I'm a woman, and I know that by nature a man is stronger than a woman. However, I know that my daddy upstairs is gonna give me the strength to do what I need to do.
Now, I gotta ask a question. If you're talking to someone who doesn't have the spiritual, religious, faith base, then what? Because the first thing you said, which embodies a significant amount of that guidance to get you back onto that path He has destined for you, is to pray. But if that person, now we're talking to any and everybody, so if that person doesn't have it, then what would you say? Or if that person had a situation where they felt discouraged from the church, they felt, ostracized. from the church, what would you say?
I am a preacher's kid, and I have definitely had those occasions. And for me, there are times where I'm like, well, whoever you believe in, whether it's God, whether it's Allah, whether, you know, like whoever it is, whoever your spiritual source is, your higher power, you need to talk to them. I don't believe in trying to change someone's mind. All I believe in is giving my testimony. I give you my testimony, I tell you how I feel, or who I feel is responsible for whatever the success, for bringing me through, however I got through it. And I have had others change. I have taken people to church that were non-believers. I don't care. I invite everybody to church. Like I said, I'm a preacher's kid, and I've been doing it since I was in elementary school. I can't focus on what you do and don't believe. I can only tell you my experience. And if me telling you my experience helps you grow, then my job is done. You can't, it's, you know, force feeding
Thank you.
is not necessarily productive. Sometimes you have to give folks the information, and if they receive it, praise God. Sometimes you gotta let them sit on that. It may not happen in the time that you want it to happen. It just won't. It's so, if people are stubborn and people have their beliefs.
Or some people are afraid.
It's
so many different dynamics, right? There's so many different
Some people
dynamics
are afraid.
that being force fed is not.
It's not, you know, it's not a productive thing. You can't make somebody understand, believe, want anything if they are not receptive to it, if they're not open.
Hey, can I add to that? Because I'm a teacher, sometimes their belief system is different. They've been hearing things in their ears for years. So when you say something, they'll grasp it. They might not receive it right away, but they hear it. And it's different from what they've always been taught. So as long as you keep feeding them, planting the seed, they hear it. You know, and like you said, whether they get it at that moment or 5 years down the line, you planted the seed. So let God get the increase from
That's
that.
what the scripture says. Somebody else will water it.
Absolutely.
And I know I tend to, I can separate a little bit my spiritual life and my relationship with God and church. So like what you said, when people say maybe they've been have a difficult time like with church, like to me that they're separate. You know, my some of my most profound moments in prayer really don't happen when I'm at church. You know, they happen in my house when I'm praying or throughout the day. I'm a big prayer person. Talk funny story. I'll tell you this. So I go into people's homes for my job to work with their children, and there's one place that I sometimes go that there's been some violence. It's not always a safe place. So I go in there and so always, you know, I get cautious and I'm just trying to, so I'm going looking to find the house, and I'm kind of getting lost. I'm like, oh gosh. So as I'm getting lost, I pray and I say, you know, Lord, just make sure that where I'm going is going to be a place that is safe and that I'm going to be strong and I'm going to just do whatever and just lead me to the right place. So eventually, as the GPS eventually takes me to where I need to go, don't you know that particular house that I went to amongst all these other houses was the one and only house that was decorated with Christmas with all these crosses and all these things, and I say, wow, you were really but even, and when you talk about planting seeds, I was reminded of a story that happened a very long time ago, probably when I was new into my job, and I had a child who I suspected may have autism, and I had to kind of bring that to the table for this parent. And you always want to handle that delicately. And this particular parent didn't like what I had to say, and she wasn't not happy. And but we continued to work together, and she never really followed through with what she needed to do to potentially get the diagnosis because she was in denial. She didn't want to understand. And so then her child turned 3 and our time ended. And years later, other people planted that seed. And then she became to accept it. And she, which I appreciated so much because she didn't need to do that, but she called me and to apologize. And she said, I wanted to let you know that we have gotten him tested and I didn't want to believe it when you told me, but when others did, but I did remember that you planted that first seed, and had you not, maybe it would have taken me longer to get to that decision. So we are planting seeds when we don't even know we are.
That's exactly right.
And people receive them when the time is right. So that was.
Thank you. Anybody else want to interject?
I do want to say something to this shy lady over here. She said she was shy.
Yes, ma'am.
But when she has a passion,
Switches on.
girl, you let it roll. That's good. I like that. I like that very much. Absolutely.
Takes work. I want to read some quotes to you guys, all right? I read this article that talks about several reasons why women may not support other women. First, there's an invisible natural law in the female culture that helps to shape how women interact with other women at work and in their personal lives. It's called the power dead even rule, a term coined by Pat Ham and colleagues in the Hardball for Women, winning at the game of business. This rule governs relationships, power, and self-esteem. For a healthy relationship to be possible between women, the self-esteem and power of one must be, in the eyes of each woman, similar in weight to the self-esteem and power of the other. In other words, these key elements must be kept dead even. When the power balance gets disrupted, such as a woman rising in status above other women, women may talk behind her back, ostracize her from the group, or belittle her. These behaviors are to preserve the dead even power relationship that women have grown up with their entire lives. Of course, this is a subconscious process. Most women are not aware of this invisible rule and what drives their behavior, but it is a big reason why women sometimes do not support other women. Let's talk about the thoughts about that, Reed. What do you think? What are you all thinking?
I think for me, I had a daily meditation for like a long time, right? And I was taught to meditate on the light within. And what I learned from it was that by performing that particular meditation, you were able to see the light without. So everybody else's light becomes evident because of that meditation, which is an interesting outcome association, right? And when I interact with people, it's as if everyone here is a pearl on a thread. We have a shared human condition. Every pearl has got its own shine, its own luster, its own beauty, its own, think of a clam.
I was just thinking, it's like where the pearl comes from.
The clam, where the pearl comes from, is unique conditions, unique pressures, unique environment. And so everybody who is here has come from a unique place. And I think that in our society, we objectify people. And I will terminally be guilty of subjectifying people.
Explain that.
Meaning that when I greet someone, I'm greeting them and everything that's coming with them. And it's from a space of equality. And
If you objectify, what are you doing?
when you objectify, you're failing to consider aspects. So like some of the parts doesn't equal the whole. If I cut you up, I cut your head off, your arms and your legs, and I try to sew you back together, the sum of the parts don't equal the whole. So there's that essence, which makes you you, your unique medicine, which is your expression. So we all experience and we all express. And so just like the pearl has your unique shine and luster. And so I find that I don't tune into a lot. Like, I'm pretty divergent in the way I think. So I think I defy a lot of people's ideas and expectations of things. I'm a tribal administrator. I work for the Nanaco Lenape Tribal Nation, and I'm an MMIW Task Force agent, which is Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. And I just put together a curriculum to be standardized in Native America by any tribe called the Truth, Healing, and Reconciliations curriculum. And it took me a year and a half of dedication of my downtime. That was off work. That was off work. That was research. After work was done, I built a website. I published a page. I got 1 million likes or whatever you do with that stuff. And my artwork is my hobby, which also fuels that. I do graphic design, so I have a graphic design business. I have a consultation practice, an LLC, and started a foundation for Native American religious science and education. And so I consult the tribe on grants, and I have multiple. I just got a grant for broadcasting humanities for the Native Power Hour. But a lot of so everything I do, even when I'm not at work, I'm working. Like all of my hobbies fuel that's gotta stimulate my soul, my passion, and my dedication, and I live off of it. It's like the juice. You like the juice? I like the juice. I like to keep it high, my vibe high. So I think when you interact with people like that, like they're a subject, they're not an object, they're coming with all kinds of good fun stuff. And it's a whole different interface, how you're wired and how your spirit expresses, how your, mind works is absolutely fundamentally unique. And you are that precious. I didn't wear purple today on purpose. I wore red. Red is for missing and murdered indigenous women. So whilst you got the red and the blue, make purple. That's the laws and the prophecy. That's the laws, the science, and spirituality, spirit. So yeah, I'm happy to meet y'all today, and that's kind of my approach to equality. It's is not bestowed. That's egocentrism. You don't bestow my equality. There's a difference between sympathy and empathy, and sympathy is condescending. Empathy is equality. You're putting yourself in my shoes. You know what I mean? And so. My shoes empower you. I don't even know that woman knew what she was doing. She was open to the spirit when she gave me these shoes. Right. Talk about food, you'll never starve.
All right, let me give you the second reason. A second reason relates to our emotional intelligence. In this woman's book. In my research and book, The Power of Perception, I show that women at higher leadership levels tend to display more male-specific EQ, which is the emotional intelligence, competencies such as assertiveness and confidence, and leverage less female-specific EQ competencies such as interpersonal relationships and empathy, like you said. So if a female leader puts less of a premium on the value of relationships, she may not spend the time necessary to cultivate relationships with junior women. This is also called the queen bee syndrome. When women behave in ways more typical of men to display toughness and fit in, for women at the very top, part of their success is convincing men that they aren't like other women.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, growing up, The only people that I actually saw in business and administration were males. So as a female coming up, that's what I would guide my steps. How did you do that? So for a female to get to that point in their career, they're looking at how they were treated. They're looking at how those men got to be where they are. They forget that if they are women, you can actually change that culture, and you can start pulling women up into the business world. But what they're so afraid of is losing that position because of the men around them.
What would that look like as far as bringing that up when you speak about that? What would that, for example, what would that look like?
That would empower other women to come up to a new level wherever they want to be. However, once a female gets to that level, she almost gets afraid to bring somebody else up because now you're competition. Where you're not actually competition, I'm actually creating a new community. So what I've seen is even with females, we have gravitated towards the male perspective of things. We've gravitated toward male behavior. If you come into a school, who is the more aggressive? It is now the females. It's not the males. We started school in September. I want to tell you, we had 5 fights. They were all female related. They were related as, I don't like her, you don't like her now. Oh, you like her, I'm fighting you. So females, we have to teach females to be females. It's okay to be a little emotional sometimes. It's okay to say, I like you, but I don't like you, but I'm still going to be friends with you. It's okay. But if they're not taught that from here, I'm telling you, the message, the belief system is insane. So we have to teach. It's all about teaching. And I'm going to say this. If you are not secure in who you are, it's going to be very hard for you to bring another female up. If you don't understand who you are, if I work, of course, I have a female boss. She is my manager. But I empower her to look good by doing well at my job. I don't take away from her. When they say, you have a meeting here, or you're going to meet with the vice principal or whatever, you got to go to the principal. I say, good for you. I'm not like, well, why are you going? Why can't I go? I should be there. No, that's not where God put me. Wherever God puts us, that's where He needs us to be. That's where we cultivate. That's where we push other people up. If females are not together in themselves, we are not going to help each other. I'm telling you, because it's all about that mindset. The business world is, to me, Shonda Rhimes is doing an incredible job.
Who's Shonda?
Shonda, the director. Shonda Rhimes. So I really didn't know her from Grey's Anatomy, but I watched Bridgerton on Netflix. Her creativity was incredible to me. How she came and she brought all races together, how she infused them, and how she created a story. Then I knew she created Grey's Anatomy, and she also wrote Scandal, right?
Yes.
She has another.
Station 19.
Station
Private
is my
Visit.
shit.
Yes. So.
I love that show.
But if you look at the credits, if you look who's producing these projects with her, they're women. She is bringing women up. She is having women write the story. She is having women direct the project. So she got to a place where she now can dictate who comes in, who doesn't come in, but she is pulling women up, and she is secure in who she is to be able to do that. And then I've seen women actually branch off from Shonda and maybe start their own company or start their own, do their own thing. That's good, because then they bounce back and they can ask her, how do I do this? How do I do that? Because she is secure in who she is. Women, we have to be secure in who we are. If that doesn't happen, this whole community doesn't work.
I was going to say, just to piggyback off of what you said, my grandmother, God rest her soul,
I'm starting to really tap into a lot of the nuggets that she dropped on me now that I kind of wish I knew like way back when. But this one thing that she told me, I was in middle school and I had no idea what she was talking about at the time, but it's okay. Now I do. She told me that as a young girl, because I was super emotional growing up, she said you have to learn how to be spatially aware, but not socially concerned.
Say that again?
She said that you had to be spatially aware, as in aware of your surroundings, what's going on, always for keep your head on a swivel, as we used to say, to know what's going on around you, but to not be socially concerned, i.e. don't get caught up in what other people's views of you are, what other people might say about you, around you, to the next person about you, because as a young kid, you want to be liked. You want to be the person that everybody gets along with, that everybody sees as the best person or the smartest person in the room, and that's not what the trajectory of your life is supposed to be. You are supposed to be authentically you. And you being authentically you is going to create space for not just you, but other people around you that want to succeed in the things that they want to succeed in. And so, understanding that now, I had the opportunity, one of my male friends had brought me on to a semi-pro football team. I am the girl that is obsessed with sports. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. I do like makeup and hair and clothes and things, but sports are my thing. Sports are my thing. And initially he brought me on to help out with the media aspect of the team. And I said, you know what? You need me, I'm there. I'll help out, not a problem. And in working in that space, he eventually told me, now mind you, this is a male-dominated field. Football in general is a male-dominated field. And so he said, you know what? Elevation is coming, so be ready for it. So I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? This doesn't make any sense to me. And so he then let the board of the team know that, certain positions were going to be changing and moving around. So I come to this meeting, I got my notebook, I'm taking notes, to make sure that everything is kept in order. And then he's going down the line and he's, giving everybody in their new positions and what they're going to do. And then he gives my position that I had to somebody else right in front of my face. So I was like, did you just bring me here to fire me? Like, is that what we're doing? And then he left the position of general manager out. So I was like, well, who's going to be the new general manager? And he said, you. And I got quiet. I got so quiet. And there was this uproar that came from the room that they were like, yes. And I was like, are you sure that's what you want me to do? And he's like, you're knowledgeable, you have a passion about this team, and you're organized. This is what we need. This is what we've been missing. So this is the seat I'm now going to sit you in. So I took that opportunity to then say, okay, well, I can't do this by myself. I'm gonna need some help. And so I took the opportunity to pull in, yes, my friends, but I pulled in my girlfriends that I knew had their retrospective different talents, but I knew that they could help me in order of, one, keeping a team of 40 grown men in order, but they could, in being their authentic selves and their gifts, still add to this organization to help it elevate. And it was important for me to not just have it be any one of my girlfriends. I picked everybody specifically. And to see how they have helped me has inspired me. And it's kind of like, it's definitely awakened in me something that I thought died a long time ago in me in terms of sports and what I want to do with it. And they would tell me every day, like, nope, Ash, this is for you. Like, this makes sense. this area, this space seems natural for you. You glow here. You're happy here. You are the person that we love seeing all the time. This is where you need to be. And I'm like, for real? Like, for real? And it's such a blessing to have real female friends that will say, you know what, this might not be in my comfort zone, but because you're passionate about this, I'm going to stand behind you and help.
I remember that.
It makes a difference. It really, really makes a difference, because I can tell you right now, every single last one of those females was not a football enthusiast. Not one. Not one of them at all. They were like, I know it's a touchdown here, touchdown there, and that's about it. But eventually they started picking up on little things. And they're like, okay, I'm learning this and I'm learning this, and I might not need to ask so many questions about this or bug Ashley about this or whatever. They started to pick up on it, and to see that growth in people, to say, you know what, okay, maybe I am doing something right. But I had to also learn how to be the twofold of it, right? Because it is a male-dominated field. There were men in the league that were like, how are you a GM of a semi-pro football team?
Yeah.
Like, how did you get here? How did you find yourself in this space? Why do you think you have a right to be here? Like, these are things that people were saying to me, and I was like, well, because I'm qualified.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
it's because I'm qualified.
Right.
Yes.
You know?
And so we second guess ourselves, our abilities, our talents all the time, because people second guess us, not because we second guess ourselves. Somebody can look at you one wrong way and just say, I don't know if she's cut out for this. But if I wasn't cut out for this, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in. But we don't take the time to really sit and say, okay, I was placed in this position for a reason. God put me here for a reason. Exactly. My higher power put me here for a reason. My steps were ordained for such a time as this. This is meant to be what it is. And sometimes it's hard when women see other women succeed and it's not them in the seat, so they feel like they necessarily need to nitpick at all the little stuff instead of just saying, you know what, sis, I'm proud of you.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's
Good
right.
for you,
Get it,
you
girl.
know? And we find that it is necessarily a competition in some aspects, because that's how men look at us once we get to that level. This is now my competition, and I'm not going to have some female come in here and outshine me for what I do, when it's just like, I don't need to sit at your table, sir. I'm here to create my own. And I'm here to bring the people that want to create their own tables as well, so this can still grow. I just think that because we're more socially concerned than spatially aware, is what makes it difficult in our society. When you're so concerned about what other people think about you, what other people say about you, and they start to create and cultivate those insecurities that were probably never there to begin with if you didn't let them.
Granny got it going on. She knew what she was saying.
We get so caught up in the negative seeds that are planted, and then we let those negative Nancys water those negative seeds so they start to grow weeds. And when you let weeds grow in your garden, they start to kill all the healthy plants, right? So it's just like, instead of allowing those weeds to grow, we gotta pull them out, right? So that means you gotta start,
We gotta dig deep.
Prune
dig
the
deep.
vine.
You gotta prune, you gotta get rid of some of those people that you know,
Become self-aware.
become self-aware and say, you know what, maybe I don't need you in my circle. Maybe I don't need you in my space. Maybe I need to love you from a distance. Maybe you know, hey, I love you with the love of Christ, and I'm gonna sit over here while you are over there, and that's okay. And you still want the best for those people. We still pray for those people. We still want God to move on them in a positive way. But
They don't have to be in your space.
they don't have to be in your space. As for me and my house, we gonna be over here, minding our business and being great, you know, and helping everybody else that in the best way that we can possible. But giving life to people socially is something that I think as women we need to be more spatially aware about in who we give that energy to.
Yes.
And I think that would help us be more inclined to support the next person, because we're not looking to see if, oh, okay, is this person gonna tear us down? She talking about me? Oh, I heard so and so said this, and oh, did you hear about da 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 da? Like we wouldn't be so concerned about all of that if we stayed in our lane and prayed for everybody else along their way, you know?
And I just wanted to add, I think some of that starts with our young people. And I know with my daughter, there's always dynamics, and I always try to tell her that well, you have to understand, so and so, this is where they're coming from. You know, let's take a minute when she has an issue with a friend. I'm like, well, let's take a minute and look at what's happening here with them and what's happening here with this one, and that might be the explanation. That might be the explanation as to why they received what you said this way, or whatever it might be, and helping them to think like that instead of jumping to these conclusions all the time, because we have been taught to take things at such face value sometimes without taking a minute to realize, oh, well, maybe that is why they are the way they are. And it can be a fine line. I know I tell my daughter all the time, it is a fine line between being really understanding and then being a doormat. Like we don't want someone to also be unkind to us because they're having a hard time in life, and constantly unkind to us to the point that now they're taking advantage of it. So helping our young people to find that balance and know when to walk away, because there does come a time when you have to walk away because it's not good for you. You have to take that, but having those conversations with our young people about that, because I don't know that we always do. I think sometimes we just listen to what's happening, and we don't take that moment to get in there and say, well, let's look at let's dissect this a little bit more and look at what that's about. And I know I try to do that with her all the time. And if any of her friends are over at the house, if I hear them convincing about something, I'll be like, well. But yeah, I just think it's really important for us to have those conversations with our young people and help them to understand what might be really happening here instead of always.
It's always interesting with the youth because, you have to raise your hand to go to the restroom one week, and the next week you're responsible for everything in your whole life. You know what I mean? Like, it comes quick for them, and I think that that modeling is like one of the best things you could do in creating pathways, to include the youth. And one of the things that's interesting about working for a tribal nation is that tribal is tribal. So, like, there's a youth council, and there's a youth, the youth programming, and in lieu of that, there's a cultivation of leadership and interaction with the youth in terms of, and this word that I heard a couple times today that I want to grab onto and pull into the room all by itself, and that's cultivation. Everyone in here has I think maybe even used that word at one point or another. And the fact of the matter, or the reference to pruning the vine or planting the seeds, and from nature we can learn so much. I'm definitely a fan of that. But we have this unique capacity to and an opportunity to steward, to be good stewards in terms of what we bring out of, because we do have that power to bring out of another growth, development, inspiration, motivation, and when I talk about transformative culture in context to developing and cultivating, that's all about intentional community. And so there's, something to be said about the capacity that we have towards creating intentional community. And rather than being product or byproduct of, we have the opportunity to choose and select and to apply ourselves according to whatever values or principles that we choose. And at some point we, come to that crossing, whatever you want to call that, crossroads. But when you choose to be a part of other people, the cultivation of others, and the pro-social outcomes, keeping it contextualized to that, I think that there is a priceless wealth and abundance that comes from it. Because you talk about planting a seed, and you plant that sunflower and it's going to come and bloom, but it's going to drop another seed, and it's going to go through its decomposition and come on back when the next generation is there. It is. And so what we've had in terms of societal and contemporary reference is women, the oppression of women, the oppression of minorities, people of color. We have all of these negatives, and they are evident in the dynamics that we see. And so when we can choose to be agents of change and transformative culture, and to embrace the positive cultivation of not only our youth, because every woman in here is above their youth, and I'm sure that there's a pearl of wisdom and a seed of greatness within every unique individual here. It seems to me that it's about how we interact, how we choose to interact, and that intentional community component is, I think, by far one of the greatest abundance that we have among us. And I think that was biblical too, the abundance among us. That's where God will reside, among us. That's what the spirit is. That's what the body is. Super cool.
You literally just wrapped it all. I don't even need to read the other reasons. I'm not even gonna change this order, this spiritual presence that we have right here, because you just wrapped it all up. We have the problem and we have the solution. Now it's about how we're gonna affect that change. And this is why I brought you all here today. Literally, this is exactly organically why I brought you all here. Before I end with a poem, I will do that. I was going to ask if there's anybody else.
I want to piggyback off of what you said. We as women have to meet each woman or each female where they are.
Yeah, where they're at.
It's got to be where their need is. It can't be, so again, I'm a teacher. And I'm telling you this, all of my kids aren't going to college. And I'm not promoting college. I'm not telling you have to take the SAT or you have to, they had a FAFSA night. I'm like, why? I'm not telling my kids to come to FAFSA. FAFSA is for financial aid to go to college. I'm not telling my kids to go to college. College is not for everyone. And if you would have asked me that 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I would have said, don't say that. I'm telling you, I do not promote college for my kids. Technical school, absolutely. Carpentry, electrician, a welder.
Or esthetician. Or as a plumber.
Yes, they can make money. We just had someone come back that I taught 20 years ago. He's making 6 figures as a welder. You know what he told the kids? No student loan. I got my own house. I bought a car. I bought 2 cars. I bought my mom a house. You know, like,
It can happen.
this is, but for women, we have to meet them at their need. You know, so many kids right now are homeless. They don't have meals. They're hungry. So I have to, and sometimes when you're teaching, that comes across. So I have to pull them in. I say, okay, where are you? What's going on? You know, I'm hungry. My mom hasn't come home. You know, I don't, of course, there's the father aspect isn't there. So we gotta communicate with them. We gotta know what they need. And then we start to build them that way. You know, so if they're hungry, I make sure they get food. If they're cold, I make sure they get clothes. And then I can start to teach them. Then I can start to say, what is it that you want to do? What is the thing that makes you the most happiest? And then we can say, okay, let's find a job that incorporates that. And then we start building them that way. You know, and for me, to build up these young females is to be able for them, first of all, to get a diploma. Because half of them have not been in a situation where their parents even graduated high school. You graduate high school, and after high school, what are we going to do? So, you know, you want to go to trade school, you want to do something, but we build them from there. You know, I can't say, well, you got to go to college, because everybody goes to college. Heck to the no. We're not doing that anymore. Meet them at the need and build them from there. And you give them something to eat. You know, I don't know what the saying is, you know, you give somebody a fish and they eat for a day, but you teach them to fish and they can eat forever. So we're teaching that, you know, that's what that we're doing. We empower and even older women, but to be exposed to the younger generation, it's not easy because, like I said, their belief system is so different than ours. But to teach them that there is another way, there is a light at the end of your tunnel. I think is so important for us to do.
I think one thing to add, and
Speak up a little bit.
one of the things that I struggled with was asking for help.
Asking.
For help.
Come on.
Okay.
Pride is somebody.
But that's what we've been taught.
and this is, and even a person, even a homeless person has pride. Even a person who, you know, like, exactly. It's not easy.
At all.
It is not easy to ask for help. And for me, it started young. It started when I was little. And I refused to ask. One, because at some point, not patting myself on the back, I was the smart one. I was the smart kid in the family. I was the one that to my parents, studying and schoolwork came easy for. Not all of it, but as far as they were concerned, I was the one they didn't have to worry about. So for me, it started young where it was like, well, I'm not going to ask for help because I'm not going to get the help because they think I know this already.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it took a lot for me to turn around and say, okay, I need help. So, example, when I had to retire, when I tell you that this space I'm in right now is like the hardest. I've worked since I was a teenager. Not working is hard for me.
I feel you.
I don't necessarily know how to function in that space. I went back to school. But during the time, it was 10 months before they approved my retirement. So when I had filed for retirement, they cut me off. No more workers' comp and no more benefits. I had to figure it out. I had to ask for help. It was so hard because I didn't know any of these systems. Going to BCAT to get help with my electric bill and ask for help to pay my mortgage because I'm a homeowner. I didn't know any of that. And I started driving Uber to make the money. In the meantime, my son was in daycare part-time because I was working. I was on 2 days, off 2 days. So the days I was off, he was home with me. So now I need to find something because I got injured. I need to find something that I can do with the injury that's going to bring money in so I can continue to pay my bills. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I started driving. It wasn't enough. So now what do? I had to suck it up. I had to pray. Okay, God, what am I going to do? First of all, God is good.
Yes.
When I tell you, the people at the daycare were like, he's safe, don't worry about him. I had to put him in full time, which is more money, in order for me to actually do some type of work to make money. They were like, give it to us when you get it.
Amen.
The blessings I received, I had to go to the food bank. I have never, ever had that type of experience in my life. I have always helped other people. So for me to need the help, it was humbling. And I feel like I was already a humble person. It was humbling. The food bank, to be kept, to help get them to pay my PSE and G bill because I need the lights on. Then the mortgage. I put in the application to get help with my mortgage. I thought it was just for rent. And they were like, no, it'll help you with your mortgage too. I was like, really? Oh, okay. Let me fill this out too. All of this takes time. All of this is a lot of running back and forth. But I had to do it. And health insurance. I had to go up there to social services. Mind you, I worked in the criminal justice system. I'm seeing a whole lot of people that I work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
People that I done dealt with in this space. And now I'm here. And I was driving during the drive. It took months. The ladies that handled the mortgage stuff, like one lady I think passed away. And then another lady, she just left.
Oh, wow.
So that paperwork just sat there. They sent it to someplace else. The lady called me. She said, I'm from New Jersey Citizen Action. I got your application. So I had to go and see her and take like my taxes and everything so she could. When I tell you that lady sat there and typed up my hardship letter for me, this is stuff I was supposed to do before I got to her. So, and it was a woman. So for me, it was just like, okay, God. Not everybody is against you. But like I said, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And if you don't ask for the help, you won't get it. She typed that letter up. I'm telling you, I was driving Uber and this man called me and he said, yeah, I'm calling. He said, did you get the letter? And I was like, what letter? The email. I was like, what email? He was like, well, I'm from so-and-so and we're going to pay your mortgage for the next year. For the next year. He was like, the months that you're behind and a year.
Come on.
But I had to swallow my pride and ask for the help. And one of the things that we as women, we are the mothers. We are the nurturers. We take care of the home. Even working a job. I don't have a husband. Praying that God going to deliver eventually. But my dad was the provider. And that's we not blocking no blessings. We not blocking no blessings.
You switched it up. I was like, I'm glad you caught yourself.
But my dad being the provider was my example. But my mom was the one that was at home making sure that he could go out and be the provider. So, women are stronger than we're given credit for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But we are also prideful. And I know, like I said from experience, that it is hard to ask for help. So although we want to bring somebody up, we have to figure out a way to help them understand that we are here to help. We are not here to hinder. There is no hidden agenda.
Come on. There's no what?
Hidden agenda. Because listen, I don't know if you've had the experience, but like I worked my job for 15 years. I was there. I was promoted like within a short period of time because I did my job. I worked. But I'm telling you, I had a friend who was hired. She was a supervisor. We were great. Cool. We traveled together, vacation, everything. While I was an officer, she would call me, yo, you want this overtime? Come in, sit me in center control with her, everything. But as soon as I became a supervisor and got put, I'm on the same level as you
The
now.
switch up.
When I tell you,
The switch up.
it was like, I thought we were friends. Like, in the meantime, you're supposed to be teaching me my job. It became I'm going to teach you this, but I ain't going to give it. I'm not going to teach it all to you.
I'm gonna teach you what you
I'm
know,
going to teach
but not
you
everything.
just
I know.
enough
Yeah.
that I don't get in trouble. You know what I mean? And we had
You don't look good.
and for me as the junior, for me in my mind, my job is to make you look good so we all look good. And that wasn't her mentality. Eventually she got there. Like we patched things up eventually, down the line. And she was like, when I had to retire, she was very, like before I left the jail, she was very instrumental in helping me. But she finally saw like a lot of the things that were going on. But for me, working with her, like I had to cuss her out. And I didn't.
Look, I've been there.
Listen, like, just like I'm sitting here, we had an incident where we smelled gas. Now she was the one to go sit in the back because we worked overnight shift. She go sit in the back and go to sleep. Mind you, I'm the one walking around. The officers come to me. I tried to wake her up, like, yo, I need you to go. She wouldn't get up. So I went and I did my job. I called who I needed to call. I did, what I needed to do. And then I still went and like, get up. I need you to go out there so you can smell the smell that we're smelling. So when the higher ups call, you can tell them what's going on. I still looking her out, and she got mad at me and tried to cuss me out. When I tell you, it was like I had to walk away. I had to walk away because I was like, what is going on here? But when I came back, she knew, because then she tried to speak to me like, oh, it's, and try to smooth things over, but it's too late. It was too late now. And like I said, I keep to myself. I was not the confrontational person. But once she started trying to be nice after that, I lit her up because I was like, yo, I'm sitting here trying to help you. You sitting your butt back here. I had to go off on her. And after that, things changed. But it was just like, we in this together. Them guys are not trying to help us. They sitting here laughing at you because you sleeping. They waiting for you to get caught.
Come on.
Because they waiting for your downfall. And I'm sitting here trying to make sure you don't fall. It is hard to navigate those spaces. And it's a shame that, you end up having to cuss somebody out in order for them to, get it. In order for them to understand that I don't mean you harm. I only mean you well. I want us both, or us all, to rise. I want us all to be on top together. Sipping tea, having a sip, whatever. It's, so we definitely want to help, but we got to find a way to help the others understand that there's no hidden agenda, that this is really, we're really trying to help. It's so much back. It's been so much backbiting, and it's not just this generation. This has been going on forever.
Yeah.
It's a learned behavior.
It's learned behavior. It's hard. Breaking those chains. It's hard.
Carly, I just wanted to say, as the senior person here, a couple times during this conversation, my heart truly started to pound. And the reason is that I've seen a lot of discrimination sexual discrimination, because of your color, a lot of things. And it makes me very proud when I can sit and I can see women moving into positions previously held by men. My husband, a corrections captain, previously held by men. Just things that you young women are accomplishing today. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to take some credit. I believe that maybe not directly, but indirectly, some of you stood on my shoulders. Mm-hmm. That I was there when they talked about women don't do this. Mm-hmm. Black people don't do this. We're going to hire what we need to meet a quota. That's what I was in meetings listening to. Mm-hmm. And I wanted that job. I wanted to keep that job. The only thing I could think of was I had on a pair of red shoes. And I thought to myself, to keep my mouth shut, I have the nicest shoes on in the room.
I know that's right.
Do you know, we have made such strides. And the fact that you are all so strong, so well spoken, so determined, so wanting to help those that come behind you. I just want to compliment you for that. It really, my heart stopped pounding quite so hard now. It just feels good. It feels good that I did well in my family. You guys are doing better, and the best is still coming.
Let's go.
So thank you so much. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Miss Darlene.
That was beautiful.
All the love.
Well, before I say this last quote in scripture, are all hearts and minds clear and on one accord? You tried it. Yeah, I didn't hear him say no.
I heard.
All right, let me read this last quote and scripture for you all, and then we'll close out. Now you gotta listen to this quote. In the beginning it says something, but then in the end it flips it to correct it. We're better together, as Madeline Albert said. There is a special place in hell for women who do not help other women. As we say from personal experience, there is a special place in heaven for women who support other women. And the scripture comes from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 11. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. Let us pray out. Lord, we thank you for this time spent with one another. I thank you for what you already saw fit, Lord. It came to pass, and I ask that you continue to not only build up each and every individual one right here with whatever they're going on in life, whatever may be a trial or tribulation or a season, Lord, we know that you're in the midst of it, so allow them to continue to hold faith and hold truth to knowing that you will make it okay. Allow us to be able to trust in you, to believe in you, and allow our lights to continue to shine so that we can show that empathy. Yeah. We can show that support. We can show that love, that care, that desire to meet that person where their need is to help them grow up. Mm-hmm. Lord, I ask that you be with us as we chat and chew for a moment, and for those who are going to dispense themselves to go on with the rest of their day, keep them safe, sane, and strengthened in their travels. Everyone actually here, keep them safe, sane, and strengthened as their travels, and allow us to be able to enjoy the moments and the times that you give us, Lord, because we know that it is not always granted. Mm-hmm. I thank you for this time, Lord. I thank you, I thank you, I thank you, and I thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.